What is up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is SlammerIV. Can you believe it? We are finally here, ladies and gentlemen. We are back. We are back to that beautiful browser game that is Littlewargame. It's been far too long. If we could just be honest, it's been far too long. I have been away. I've been doing life, doing other video games, and have not had the privilege to play Littlewargame in a little bit. But just recently, I had the chance to get back into it a bit. Played a couple games here and there, and yeah, just kind of felt that old itch to make a YouTube video, talk about some games I played. And this is one that I thought was pretty cool and pretty educational, so I decided to throw it out there and make this replay analysis. So I am playing in the red in the bottom left of the map, Xenos. We're facing Rynus, which is a player that I wasn't familiar with before, before I left for a bit of a break. But coming back, he's one of the more active players in the scene right now, and definitely a really pretty good player. Definitely up there on the totem pole of Littlewargame right now. Pretty high level. Mech focused player, which I love to see. Mech is definitely becoming, or has become, a really viable and strong option. I mean, it clearly was with the A4 patch, and it continues to be so. And Rynus is going to showcase a really cool two-base push build. A lot of mech builds rely or revolve around two-base pushes, especially against Beast and Rax. Not as much against Mech itself, Mech v Mech, but yeah, against Beast, you often don't really love to play that late game situation where Beast can just hit you with those transitions and that mobility. Wolves here, dragons here, that kind of stuff. So Rynus is going to kind of showcase this idea of kind of a two-base push to kind of try to get a quick GG before that Beast engine gets going. I'm playing. I've had experience with this build. I actually lost a couple games against this particular build, so I'm sitting here thinking about ways to counter it. And my initial idea is to go pretty greedy. I actually have a pretty late den. This is a small mistake. I think the den should be a bit earlier so that you have one wolf to deal with this. But in general, he decides to really dive in with it, and he ends up losing the GAT, which you can't really predict, but that's very, very good for me, So I'm very happy with that sort of exchange. And you can see that, like, even though our worker counts are equal, his castle is only now getting up into full production mode. So I have a nice economic lead here, and I'm actually going to throw down a really, really fast third castle. So I'm going to kind of get that early map control advantage because he doesn't have the speed upgrade for his Gatlings. So these Gatlings are very slow. They really don't have much map presence. They can easily be surrounded by decent wolf counts. So you have to kind of really stay home with these to be safe as a mech player. So I have a lot of freedom now to take this fast third base, and it's going to be kind of on Rynus to decide whether he wants to do some kind of light pressure and take his own third, or whether he wants to go ham with a two base and really try to punish this third and win the game straight up. He's also playing this double gyro or double mill build with catapults, which I saw a couple times. And it's a pretty strong build order, and my thought process to counter it is to go for faster dragons, as we'll kind of see a little bit later what his unit composition looks like. Here he does a small push with the Gats. This is pretty risky. I mean, I only have 2 wolves because I delayed my second den so much. But if I had maybe 2 more wolves, like, he would have lost a gyro for sure, or a Gat for sure there. So I feel like that's a pretty risky play, but in the end, it doesn't really matter because one wolf dies and he gets away. So it's kind of like no harm, no foul on both sides. Meanwhile, Rynus is continuing to add that second mill. He's adding his second catapult. He's facing a bit of a gnarly supply block here if he doesn't add that house on. I think he adds it on right now. So slight supply block that he's going to have to deal with briefly. Meanwhile, I have almost finished my castle here. pulling workers, getting ready to get those dragon's lairs up as quickly as possible. This tower is a bit of a sloppy mistake on my part. It's far too early for him to even be pushing. This tower is a decent idea to kind of protect against pushes in this direction and gyro harass, but in all honesty, it's about 30 to 45 seconds too early. So, you know, it's kind of a mistake on my part, but one of the things that I'm noticing, because I've been away for so long, is a lot of my play has been pretty sloppy, and not the cleanest, and this is kind of an example of not so clean play. Also, this den, you know, order I think is it could be a lot better and could be a lot executed a lot cleaner. So you can see Rynus is already prepping for his push. It's really strange that he brings the damage worker. I feel like that's a pretty large mistake, but he's actually bringing 7 workers, it looks like here. So a pretty strong pull here, and he's only, you know, he's not even fully saturated at both bases as a result. But this is a something like a 620 timing. He's going to hit at about, you know, 645 by the time he gets to this ramp. And my dragons are only now starting production. So if we look at this force, really nothing beats dragons here. He has a handful of gyros, and obviously he's adding on lots of gyros as reinforcements, but nothing's really going to beat dragons in this force. So as soon as I can get 4 to 5 dragons, this push is 100% dead. So from my perspective is, let's just buy time until I get that dragon count out to a high enough point. So I'm just using my wolves, trying to make sure I don't take catapult shots. I took 1 shot there, but my idea is to use wolves and workers to just buy time. And also the tower, the same concept, is just buying time for my larger dragon count to come up. With this kind of army, it's really hard to engage because those workers just body block and repair. So like things like gyros, really hard to kill. They just get repaired by workers. Catapults equally so. So the strategy is just to focus down workers as much as possible. He's got, looks like, I already sniped a couple workers. I sniped the low health worker already, and I'm getting another sniper worker there. So he's only down to 4 workers at this point. And that's when I can engage in with my wolves and my tower here to snipe down the last couple remaining workers. And I get a nice round with the wolves too, so his gatlings die immediately. And once his workers are dead, there's really not much sustainability in this push. I get a couple of really juicy shots from the tower onto the gyros here, because the main threat at this point is the gyros. Unsupported, the catapults aren't going to do much. It's really all about killing the gyros at this point. I'm continuing to produce off of 2 lair. So eventually my dragon production is really going to overwhelm his gyros. You can see the AoE from the dragon fireballs is causing a ton of damage to these gyros, and I can just pull a couple of workers. If even I lose these workers, I don't care, because I have 3 base production, so I can really replace these quickly, and I know he's only on 2 base. And once the gyros are dead, the catapults are basically just paperweights. They die almost instantly. Looks like he wanted to bring some more workers, but he kind of miscontrolled them. And then these catapults are just going to some pointless end of destruction. So taking stock, he is actually oddly way up in workers. He's been producing really consistently off of 2 castle, but the problem is he doesn't really have any answer to dragons. So I already have 5 dragons here in position. He's up to only 4 gyros with a couple more on the way, but he doesn't even have towers. Like, he literally has no defense against dragon pushes. He's trying to add a second advanced workshop, but it's really late at this point. I'm going to have on the order of 6 to 7 dragons very soon with a decent ground army. I'm already taking my 4th base as well. And he's forced to kind of break his workers from mining, of course, because these dragons are on top. And you can use repair to kind of stay alive here. Looks like he loses 1 gyro there, and my wolves are also getting on top of the rest of his forces here. But really, there's not a lot of hope for the mech player at this point. He's behind on bases, he's behind on tech, and his army is significantly weaker at this point. Double mill is a really interesting strat, but it doesn't have a lot of sustain later game because they're so expensive, and they just get totally destroyed by dragons in head-to-head fights. So there's really not a lot of options for Rynus here. Except, of course, the GG option, which he does take. So yeah, I thought that was a pretty fun kind of learning game, because it really shows kind of one of the most straightforward dynamics in Beast versus Mech, which is that 2-base push, because it's really on Beast to defend that, and it's kind of on the Mech player to stop this 3rd base expansion. As long as, I mean, I think Mech it's very viable for Mech to go ahead and just take their own third base, but I think that makes the game, it can make the game a lot harder for Mech if Beast really gets up to a comfortable position with counterattacking potential drops and dragons everywhere, and Mech really has to play a very sharp game to win in that scenario. But the 2-base push is really, really strong because it comes so fast, and if you don't have like dragons, I think Wolf Snake is pretty weak against that kind of push, and you will die pretty well unless you have some really, really crisp micro. But in this case, I was able to get enough dragons out, and once that was out, the push was pretty much over. But yeah, I had a lot of fun playing some matches with some people around the community, and hope to continue to make some videos, continue to play some matches over the coming weeks. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I will certainly be back with some more, and I will catch you next time.